All right. Okay. Hello, guys. Welcome. Happy Monday night. And tonight we're going to have a special treat. It's in our series of saving our schools with the school board. And tonight we're going to talk to a candidate who's running in the District 1 of Charlotte-Mecklenberg school system district and really wants to bring change in a very big way. We're going to hear what he has to say. But as you guys know, I mean, we've been following Charlotte-Mecklenberg schools for a long time here. We've been covering this for a while. So here's a couple of the stories, a couple of highlights from what we've covered in Charlotte. First graders are going to be taught Thanksgiving and Independence Day is for savages, white supremacists, and it's just downright un-American, mean, nasty, and rude. That is what the district is teaching first graders. That is the part of the social studies curriculum that they have introduced. Yeah, definitely not our choice, right? Here's another one. Basically, we've got the Charlotte Teachers Institute paying a bounty for teachers to teach critical race theory. We looked at the curriculum and that and the outline of what was going to be presented. It's the worst of the worst stuff. And if you get teachers that they're doing it for money, that's even worse. That's what you call a missionary right there. Third school district planning to have this secretive gender support plan where a document is produced and it says, hey, teachers, if kids want to socially change their gender, you are not to tell the parents. And moreover, we will assign a support. You've heard of a support dog or support animal. We will supply a support adult to usher in these changes. Another one, Girls Under Siege in Charlotte-Mecklenberg. If you have been paying attention, and really everyone should be paying attention, Charlotte-Mecklenberg, not only is the violence out of control in the schools, girls are being targeted almost exclusively for some of this sexual violence. Things include being raped in the bathroom, and then a couple of stories about having actual schools and districts punish the girls who complain, and then let the accused go on to get an ankle bracelet. So clearly, the cops think that the accused did it. There's enough for probable cause, right? Letting these students come back onto the campuses to further intimidate these girls, even wearing ankle monitors to play in the football games. And then we'll talk to a parent, the parent who is featured in this story also. Schools actually calling 911 on special needs children for a ridiculous, stupid, insane reason that they say has everything to do with Title IX, and we're not buying it. So with that, I'm going to bring on Ro Lawsin. Ro, you're running for District 1 in Charlotte-Mecklenberg schools. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Sloan. Thank you for having me.
Good. Well, thank you for coming on. So tell us a little bit about your background.
First and foremost, I have 3 kids that went through CMS, 2 that just recently graduated from Huff High. They're on their way to NC State. And then 1, a daughter that is a rising sophomore. And in light of what you just talked about, all the rapes and sexual assaults, that is one of the primary reasons and my number one issue on why I'm running for school board, which I'll get into later. I'm a 21-year veteran in the Air Force. I have a security background where my specialty was counterintelligence, counterterrorism, and anti-terrorism. I served both here and overseas. And then after the Air Force, I held and owned several businesses. Now I'm currently working in the accounting department of a transportation company. I was formerly the Huff High PTSA president, as well as the tennis coach at Huff for 3 years. But I'm an active member of the community. I'm a member of the American Legion in Huntersville. I was the former president of the Filipino American Association of the Carolinas. I've also partnered with the Vietnamese American community with their vaccine drives to help out members from the Vietnamese community. Most of all, I'm just a concerned citizen and a parent that just can't sit back and watch what's happening, especially in light of what COVID exposed. And if there's any silver lining, which there's very little, but if there was one thing from COVID, it's the fact that we as parents learned of all the things going on in our child's classroom. You know, much to our dismay, if not aghast, several things was unearthed that I think now, for the first time, parents are waking up. parents are trying to reclaim their schools and be in better control. School choice is a big part of what I'm running on, and especially in light of in Charlotte-Mecklenberg schools, there will be a student reassignment happening in 2023. And plus also there's a big bond issue in terms of trying to determine which districts get schools that I will be actively involved in should I get elected in November. But most of all, I'm just fed up with the constant non-solution based school board that we have and CMS. And it's like any bureaucrat, they've got a very healthy budget of $1.7 billion. And now in 2022, 2023, it's going to be $2.1 billion. So it's certainly not a funding issue. It's a spending issue and management issue. So with all that, I think I bring the experience, both as a parent, as a retired Air Force officer, as a business leader, and a concerned parent of 3 kids that all went through CMS, that I can bring new leadership, fresh energy, and a voice for the parents and especially the students that feel like they don't have a say in this process.
Right. So you brought up vaccination clinics that you've been helping out. That's part of your role in serving your community. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm good friends with the president of the Vietnamese American community, and they were and partnered with the Charlotte Health Clinic, providing free vaccinations to members of their community. And so as a member of the Asian community, which is just as diverse as any city in the country, Charlotte makes up such a diverse group of Filipinos, which is my ethnicity. I'm a first generation Filipino American, but partnering with the Vietnamese American community, they wanted to try and make a difference, and they always are. They're one of the most active Asian communities in all of Charlotte, and I'm so impressed, and I'm very honored to be able to partner with them and in terms of just contributing to the community, helping those that need help, and they're solidly behind my campaign for school board, as I'm the only Asian American running for any type of office here in Charlotte and Mecklenburg County.
So, what would you say to some of your constituents? What do you have to say to the ones that don't believe anyone should be pushing vaccines? Do you are you for choice or for mandatory vaccines? What's your position on that?
I am pro choice on that, in terms of if you want to take the vaccine, by all means. I did take the vaccine because my family was vaccinated, but for those that feel that it's important to them that they don't take it, they should have that choice. And it's funny how we take positions on one issue and not another. And in this particular instance, and I partnered with the Vietnamese American community because I felt that if there was members of their community that wanted this vaccine, there was a venue and a place for them to get it free of charge, in a well-run system that they can get in and out with very little wait. And so, but as far as personal choice, that is up to every individual, and I think it's our constitutional right that they choose whether they want to get it or not. That's on them, not me.
Right. I mean, you've got a lot of parents, me included, very worried that vaccinations are going to be required. You have a lot of teachers worried that vaccinations are going to be required. If I'm not mistaken, they may already be required, and a lot of folks left because of that. So a lot of parents are having, I'm talking about deep stress about this issue that they're going to be mandatory. What would you do if you're the only one on the board who is the lone vote against mandatory vaccinations? How will you handle that?
I hope I'm not, but if I am, I would continue to use every bit of data and science, because sometimes, the saying, follow the science or follow the data. Well, even our own county and school board isn't even following the science or data. So all I'm going to try to do, and no different than my campaign, I'm going to go on a fact-based, truthful campaign of just trying to bring order and common sense to this board that I think for the longest time have lost its way with regards to those parents that are concerned. I share their concern. And so what I want to try to do is make sure that all the facts are present, and many districts that are thriving, not just here in North Carolina, but across the country, that are vaccine optional. There's no reason that we need to go to this. And there's proof that the vaccines won't keep any person, whether child or adult, free from getting a virus from COVID. That it has been proven. And so to go ahead and mandate that and force any student to get it, to me, just doesn't make sense. So with respect to partnering with parents and giving them the choice, that's where I stand. But again, I'm going to just follow the science and the data, and all of that supports not having to force students from ages K through 12 to have to be forced to take the vaccine, if not enforce a mandate.
Bull that is happening with girls in the Charlotte-Mecklenberg school system. There is an undeniable coordinated effort to silence girls who are complaining about sexual assault and even rape. This is a culture that is permeated all through the Charlotte-Mecklenberg school district. What are you going to do to bust through that culture? Because it is a huge problem.
The three things that I'm running on, Sloan, is safety, student outcomes, and accountability and transparency. With regards to trying to bust through this, there was an investigation by Ian Koshner and with WBT that discovered there was a requirement by CMS in all schools throughout the country to report all rapes and sexual assaults to the Office of Review for the Department of Education. And in his investigation, he learned that, I don't have the exact number, but with 144,000 plus students and as big as CMS is, you can imagine how many actual rapes and sexual assaults may have occurred if not been reported. But in this investigation, Nick Oshner, he discovered that in the past 10 years, only 2 reports of actual rape and 50 reports of sexual assault in 10 years have been forwarded to the Office of Review and the Department of Education. That's frightening. And as I mentioned when I opened up, I've got a daughter, and that terrifies me because she's my huge why, along with my 2 other boys. But since she's now the lone child left in high school, in a relatively big high school, whether it's my daughter, anyone else's daughter, to see what's happened in the past, especially at CMS, especially at Myers Park, it's shameful. And so your question, how am I going to break through? First off, the reason why I listed accountability is I'm going to hold myself accountable, because that's why I'm partnering with Greg in terms of him or any other parent. And they don't even have to be in my district. If there is a concern that the safety of their child is in jeopardy or has been jeopardized, that's where I need to come in, because that's the whole reason why I'm asking for people to support me and vote for me in November, because they've got to have a voice. They've got to have an advocate. So I'm going to hold those people in positions of authority, whether it's the teacher that got the initial report, the principal that heard it from the teacher, and then sending it to whatever authority, whether it's CMS police or higher, some administrator that just takes it and, like has been done in several other cases or instances, swept under the rug. And we know that's been happened. And you brought up in your introduction that many times the victim has been punished. And this happened at Hawthorne Elementary last year. And with regards to Hawthorne Middle School, it is shameful what's happening. And I'm going to continue to refer to the fact that I have a daughter. And that's why I'm running, because I want to hold those people accountable without fear of retribution. Because guess what? This experiment, should I win, it's only going to last for 3 years because of COVID. And they extended the sentence for this current board to 5 years instead of 4. So if you don't like it, vote me out. But in the 3 years that I'm going to find out what happened. Why is the system so broke that all of these students, specifically female students, are being suppressed? Their reports of either sexual assault or rape are either going underreported, unreported, or just somehow made to disappear, whether in protection of the accused or the subject, the perpetrator, whatever the case is. My job is going to be, and it's number 1 on my platform, is safety. That if our families, even to this day, don't feel that they can send their child, whether a male or female, to school, but as a father of a female student that's a rising sophomore, this gravely concerns me. And I'm going to go ahead and try and make sure that, 1, I understand the reporting process and pass that on to my constituents and anybody else that wants to know, so that if they're ever in a situation that it happens to their daughter, this is how you need to go ahead and report it and follow up, because maybe there's something that might have been missed. Am I making excuses for CMS? Probably, because that's all they are able to come up with, excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm done with excuses. I want to find out what should happen if, in fact, a female student, any age, in any grade, is either sexually assaulted or raped. What is the process? And make sure that is followed to the T, because anything less is almost bordering on criminal.
Well, it is criminal. It's aiding and abetting, if you ask me. So one thing you brought up was Greg Pierce, who we have on right now, and he is a parent that I wrote about a while back, and a story that it infuriated so many people, and it was about an overreaction, a criminal overreaction, if you ask me, by a principal of a first grade child, a special needs child, an overreaction by that principal who rolled up and called 911 when in the notes that we had, knew damn well he shouldn't have done that. Called 911, tremendous overreaction. And so I want Greg to come on and tell us why he supports your candidacy. He's in your district. He's a parent we've talked to before. Greg, hey, thanks for coming in tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here. Well, the reason I'm supporting Ro is because of his integrity, first and foremost. When you meet with him and talk with him, you can tell that he's sincere, he's genuine, but the things that he stands for are human. They're not driven by any political backing, no hidden agendas, as you can tell, anybody can tell by talking to other members of that are currently members of the school board. They're driven by curriculum vendors that want to pay them off to put this in the school, put that in the school, put whatever they want in the school. They're driven by political agendas, and it's ruining the schools. And this Title IX stuff being one of them that affected my son is just ridiculous. And the huge problem with that was even one of the board members, I won't mention his name, but Sean's Train said in an email that the entire school board knew that what happened to my son, including the superintendent and the people that he's responsible for holding accountable for. And they knew everything about it, and they refused to do anything about it, because to do so would be to admit guilt, and they didn't want any bad publicity. They didn't want anybody knowing about it. So they swept everything under the rug.
So let me pop in, Greg, and tell everybody what some wanted to sweep under the rug, what these administrators wanted to sweep under the rug. They should be ashamed of themselves. That's why they wanted to do it. Number one, you asked multiple times. I saw in writing, I saw the email, I understand what happened. You asked for your son to be evaluated for ADHD. In fact, you even brought in a doctor's note that said, listen, I am this child's doctor, and I have reason to believe that his learning environment might be impacted by ADHD. It wasn't just a borderline case of it. It was full blown. So you asked for that not once, not twice, but 3 times, and never received that in, I believe, 2 years, as memory serves me correct. And you chose to make the best of it. You were like, okay, I'll give the school the benefit of the doubt. That's fine. School calls you up and says, hey, one day, hey, listen, got a problem with your son. He did XYZ. You asked, hey, great. Do you have any witnesses? I really don't. So let me get this straight. You don't have any witnesses. And oh, by the way, the other day, my son came home and said he was pushed down 3 and 4 and 5 times on the playground. Nothing was done about it. Teachers saw it. And so you want to punish my son for something you didn't even have evidence for. And then there was plenty of evidence that my son was actually bullied on the playground. Nobody did anything about it. What's up with these uneven standards? At the end of the day, to cover their own ass, they ended up calling 911 to punish you, I believe, right? Called
Right.
protective services on you and your lovely family, called 911 and made a problem for you. And it had the cop on this case investigating this, even going, this is BS. This is retribution. This cannot happen. It is infuriating and infuriated me, you, and everybody in the audience. This is what they wanted to sweep under the rug.
Yeah, that's correct. It all started with something simple that should never have been a Title IX violation in the first place. And I had, I think, 8 lawyers actually look into it. And they all said by Title IX definitions, by the school's own definitions, and legally, it should never have been a Title IX violation. So over the course of a couple of weeks, as I kind of learned more about what Title IX was about, I threatened the principal at Torrance Creek Elementary with a lawsuit. And ever since then, it's been nothing but retaliation. The very next day after I brought that to his attention, he hit my son with a second violation, Title IX, which I have him on a 45-minute audio recording admitting that the allegations were not true, that they were false. He didn't know that those were recorded, but I ended up turning that recording over to the police. And that's when the police, when they looked at everything after he called 911, which was also retaliation, that's when they started to say this is ridiculous. And it's just been nothing but cover up ever since. They tried to keep me from getting a transfer for him to get out of there into another school because I felt for his safety, and my son was terrified. He didn't want to go back to school there. Because again, he was also pushed, like you said, on the playground. And I actually have a police report based off that audio recording I have, when the principal admits that he knew about the incident, that my son was pushed and assaulted, and that he did nothing about it. And I think in his words, he said something like, incidents that happen outside are considered different than when they happen inside.
That, guys, let me translate that. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? That thing, he wants to apply it to the school. What happens outside stays outside. So you can, knock the heck out of a child outside, totally fine. But if you did something in school and there's only a child as a witness, oh, and by the way, you question these children without their parents there, which is a no-no, especially for children that need an IEP, which he never got. That is a no-no. You make sure that you've got witnesses present when you question these children. That happened in school, Greg. So who are you to complain for your son? I saw it firsthand. I mean, the red tape that you had to cut through to get answers, to move him to a different school, to do the job that you pay taxes for and you thought that you were entitled to. My hat's off to you. I have an immense amount of respect for you. When I saw that you were backing Ro, I knew that I needed to have him on the show immediately, because I knew if you are backing this guy, we got to talk to him. We know that, if he passes your test, we know that this is a quality candidate. And so I really want to wrap this up by talking about the teachers. And so you're right, Greg and Ro, you both alluded to this, that teachers are frustrated too. They know that it's BS. Doing a Title IX report on a child for something completely made up out of thin air with no references. In fact, it goes against the district's own Title IX policy. Questioning a child for upwards of 2 hours by himself without the parent there, that they don't even do that to people who are accused of a crime or suspected of a crime. They're doing it to 6-year-olds. It is unbelievable. They're not following their own stuff here, and teachers know that and they don't like it. Teachers, Ro, you conceded that teachers need to be paid more, a position of us. I am sick and damn tired of seeing DPI give their employees who make average of $90,000. They don't even step into the classroom for a day, giving them raises. They've had one raise in October and one raise, last month. Who the hell gets 2 raises with our own taxpayer money, by the way, 2 raises for not doing anything within 1 year? Nobody does. That money needs to be directed in to the schools. Teachers are paying for their own supplies. This is North Carolina. I mean, why are we doing this, right? We're a great state. What is going on? It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed now. So, Ro, we have 1 minute. Just wrap it up with what you're going to do for teachers. How are we going to retain good teachers?
First and foremost, I want to make sure that they are safe, for whether from troubled students or the environment that exists within CMS. because make no mistake about it, we're losing qualified, experienced teachers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and continue incentivizing them, but not just throwing money at it, because that's the knee-jerk reaction. Let's just throw money and figure out, or hope that they're going to try and stay. CMS is already one of the counties with the highest paid teachers. So that's not the issue. The issue is the lack of support. I've already talked to several teachers that are backing my campaign. They're just wanting someone to back them up because for fear of retribution, they won't appear in a picture with me. I may have probably 100 teachers behind me, but all their faces will be blocked out because I want to protect them and I'm not going to put them in harm's way. But what I will do is make sure that if they have a problem that they can't get fixed at the school level, come to me. Because for the first time, maybe in a long time, they're going to have someone that's going to fight for them, be an advocate for them. As long as it's based on the truth and it passes the smell test, then I'm going to be solid behind teachers because they are the core of what teaches our kids and helping shape minds and our future leaders. And without them, we don't have a school. So it starts with them, it ends with our students, but in between there is the family and the parents. And so this has to be a collaborative effort. And that's why I'm going to create these task forces. I'm going to go ahead and have the parents help me, because this isn't just the Ro Lawsin show. And concerned parents like Greg and those within my district, they're ready to come on board, to partner with me, roll up their sleeves and find solutions. And if I can bring these back to my board, they can't just say it's my own agenda. It's the people and the families of District 1's, agenda and their concerns. So that's what I'm going to do. But make no mistake about it, a new voice is coming, fresh leadership, a new energy that I'm going to be able to not only just work, if I'm the lone voice, with my fellow board members, because enough's enough. We have to have a change that is going to reverse this sinking ship, because the numbers don't lie and it's pretty dismal and something has to be done now. And that's why I'm running.
Well, great. Well, I mean, you're definitely full of fire, and that's great. That's what it takes to get the job done and to get through this campaign. As you know, school board campaigns, getting through it is a blood sport. You've already intimated that there's a lot of retribution going around. We've seen it. We see it because we're all over the state running campaigns. So we definitely get it. We're behind you guys. And thank you again for coming on tonight and your willingness to talk and really share your stories and your ideas. And one last thing, what is your website? Where can people go to find out more about you and to make a donation to your campaign?
Pretty easy. My website's www.rolawsin, ROLAWSIN, not SON. If you see anybody with it spelled with an I, I'm related to them. So rolawsin.com, or Ro Lawsin for School Board on Facebook, and then Ro for School Board on Twitter. So reach out to me, send me an email, call me. I am more than happy to talk with you. I will return your emails or your calls, because that's what board members should do. And I'm not going to give this excuse, well, it doesn't apply to my district. If you're in any other district and you want to see change, help me. Talk to your friends in my district and tell them, hey, vote for Ro Lawsin. And let's bring about much needed change.
Great. Well, thank you. Bye, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Sloan.